we're in the middle of a project, a very large project, which is also part of the reason why I haven't been very forthcoming with the videos. This project involved a rather large, substantial construction on our house. There you go. It's half gone.
Hi, I'm Dan from Therapy Woodworks, and this is the story of the renovation of our little house, or otherwise known as what I did last summer. So our old house is entering its 7th decade here on Earth, and it's getting tired. It's in need of a renovation and an update. There are 3 major issues with our house. Number 1 being the raggedy old porch that was filled in and is currently serving as our laundry room. When you run the washing machine, it shakes the whole house because it has little to no foundation under it. The other issues that we have with our old house is basically that the kitchen is extremely small and it doesn't really have a dining room. The dining room and kitchen are incorporated into one. The third issue is that our bathroom is a little bit on the small side and we'd really like to modernize it and update it. So sit back and enjoy the pictorial show of how we achieved these 3 goals. Stay till the end. I think you'll be pretty pleased with how we made out, because we sure are pleased with the end results. So one of the first things we had to do on this hopefully only 4-month journey was to set us up some temporary living accommodations. We rolled our trailer into the backyard, set up a porta potty, and set up kitchen arrangements, including water from our existing well. Once that was done, we could get on with tearing down the old house. During the process of stripping out the old addition, it became very obvious that this structure was definitely an old-style screen porch that had been filled in over the years. The old screens were actually still in place and sheeted over with plywood, with no consideration to vapor barrier nor insulation. No wonder why that area of the house was always so cold in the winter. We carefully cut out all the walls except one, and in true redneck fashion we tied the remaining structure to the hitch of a truck and gave her a yank. It became apparent that there were families of critters living underfoot of the old porch. Yes, we did find some skeletons in the old house, but that is not a skeleton. That's actually Doug, our contractor. Winter set in again, unfortunately. So we had to wait a little bit before we could do the excavation. Once we did, we got the trenches dug and the big hole dug for the foundation. The footings were 12 inches wide, framed using 2x8 dimensional lumber with 2 horizontal rows of 5/8 inch steel and then some vertical steel added once the footings were poured. This tied in the footings to the foundation. We decided on a 4-foot crawl space, as this left us with enough headroom for a good-sized mechanical room and was more cost-effective than a full basement. It was interesting seeing the old house floating above the new foundation. The drainage system consisted of 4-inch perimeter drainage pipe tied into the eaves trough and crawl space drainings. All of this was then piped out to the ditch line. So the sun came out in June and everybody was enjoying the sunshine, including Deborah and Rex. And it allowed us to start doing the framing without getting everything soaking wet. The major framing for the addition went very well. The floor went down. The walls went up. First the front wall, then the back wall, and finally the side wall. All walls were constructed with 2x6 framing covered in 1/2-inch plywood sheeting. And the roof trusses went up quite easily as well. The 4.5 and 12 roof trusses were engineered and built by a local company. It was a bit of a challenge to get the new trusses to match the old house, as they were stick framed. But Doug was up for the challenge. The sheeting went on the roof. We didn't like the look of the skies, nor the forecast. So pretty quickly we put a membrane on it so that at least we can have the house watertight and turn our attentions back inside the house. And it's a good thing we paid attention, because man, did it rain. The end of June, it just torrented on us. The timing was perfect to start the demolition of the interior of the house. Our old kitchen and walls were removed. It was really interesting to see the past 60 years of layers as we were peeling the old kitchen down to the studs. And yes, we found some treasures. There was a squirrel midden in one of the walls, and I don't know how that anal lube got stuffed up into one of the walls in the bathroom. And yes, the old place had some electrical issues. The bathroom was completely stripped out, basically leaving us with bare studs on the inside of the walls. There was an old decommissioned fireplace in the wall that we knew about. Removal of this was going to make a great space for a much needed linen closet in our too small bathroom. With the rain stopped, we decided it would be good to turn our attention back to the roof again. We put on a metal roof. All the metal was formed on site from a contractor that basically pulled his machine on site. We chose snap block metal roof for its great durability and its appearance, which will match the rest of the structures on our property. And it was a good thing that we got that tin on when we did, because man, the skies opened up again. With the weather not cooperating, we turned our attentions back inside the house, completed the framing, installed insulation and vapor barrier. It was about this time that our contractor discovered that he had injured his back way back in the concrete phase. So we hired a new contractor. He's a cute fella. So we soldiered on and turned our attention to the exterior of the house. We decided to use hardy plank with some metal highlights. We thought it looked very interesting and very unique. The reason why we chose hardy plank was again due to its durability. Being a concrete product, it should never crack, split, get eaten by bugs, or rot like wood can be prone to. We ordered the hardy plank pre-painted in the color of our choice to save a significant amount of time during the build. It was money in our pocket that we didn't have to pay somebody to do the work. Our new supervisor kept watch over us as we completed the task. Carrying on with more of the exterior trim, such as the pine soffits, for the front and rear steps we utilized metal stringers, pressure-treated deck, and the insurance company insisted on temporary handrails. While we were working away on the exterior of the house, getting all the cladding completed, our little friend Oren was plumbing his heart out down in the cellar. The plumbing turned out to be rather extensive, as we discovered that all of our existing plumbing was not usable. So all of the plumbing in the entire house was upgraded. Our friend Josh, the electrician, joined us to install the wiring. Josh kept very, very busy. He was the electrician that was tasked with installing a new 200 amp service, including a new pole on the road and the underground service that came into the building. He also had to join our additional shop with a 100 amp service also. There was a lot of wiring to support our many, many lights that we wanted in the house. So the day had come when we could finally turn some power back on and get the drywall completed. All the inside of the house was all painted and ready to go. The house was primarily in lockup to this point. However, there was one thing missing. There was no front door. So that was the one task that I'm very, very proud of. I created a black walnut entry door. It's solid, and it turned out really, really spectacular. A nice addition to the house. It has a very heavy, solid feel to it, and we're very pleased with the end result. It is kind of the piece de resistance for our house. I can tell you, after 3 months of trailer living, it was kind of nice to quasi-move into the house. We set ourselves up a temporary living room, and most importantly, set ourselves up back in the laundry room. Tested out the laundry system, and the house didn't shake. It was amazing. Speaking of laundry rooms, it was a pretty fabulous laundry room, leading to a pretty fabulous cellar, even if I do say so myself. So I motorized the hatch so that when I get old and feeble, I don't have to lift the thing. It's motorized. It does it all by itself on a remote control. Yep, playing with linear actuators is actually quite fun. I'm pretty proud of our nice, tidy mechanical room. Better than the old dirt floor we had before. Rex continued to do his supervisory duties and wander around the house. When we got to the point that Deborah and I were both looking forward to, with great pleasure, the creation of our kitchen. One of the first things that happened was the cabinet guy showed up and loaded the house full of cabinets, and then slowly but surely in the coming days started to install them. So we were very pleased with our cabinet installer, a local company, the only one that actually makes all his cabinets by scratch in our area. The cabinets were of our design with glass uppers, and all of the lowers were all painted with a blue insert. With the cabinets installed, we set about doing some of the trim work. Copper backsplashes behind the sink and the stove turned out to be a very interesting feature. There was also a discrepancy between where the old and the new house were. So I created a faux black walnut beam to span the gap and just to even out the little bit of difference that there was between the walls and the ceiling. It looks as if it was purpose-built and meant to be there the whole time. I had to use some pretty interesting clamping tricks in order to get that beam set in place just right. At the end of the day, we're very pleased with our new kitchen. It's quite interesting to see some of the before and after pictures. And actually having a dining area was a big treat for us. All of the cabinetry was built and installed by Roland's Joinery, a local company that caters to higher-end clients. Roland used our design and his wisdom, which incorporated black walnut doors and drawers in a space frame design. Upper doors were created with a rain glass insert, allowing the cabinet lighting to shine through. The lower doors had a blue painted insert, which we felt accentuated the black walnut framing very well and added a splash of color to the kitchen. Another big treat for us was actually having a mudroom entry area complete with a functional closet. If the kitchen was Deborah's domain, the bathroom is my domain. It had to have a couple of things. Number one, it had to have a floating toilet mounted to the wall. I didn't want to see any dirty old tanks and hard to clean up floors around the toilet itself. The other thing it had to have was a walk-in shower and heated floors to keep my feet toasty warm. Deborah picked out all of the color-coordinated ceiling-to-floor tiles. We picked 2 contrasting colored tiles to add interest to the tiled area, as there is a significant amount of square footage covered by the tile when it is installed floor to ceiling. While I set about creating both the vanity and our linen cabinet. The vanity was created from locally sourced birch and maple, and the linen cupboard featured some reused doors that we had kicking around. Repurposing stuff was part of the theme of this build. While Orrin the plumber was busy installing our oil-rubbed bronze fixtures in both the shower, the tub, and the sink, I was busy completing some of the trim, such as the shelving, the glass partition, and the door. All of the wood trim in the bathroom for the shelving and the built-in medicine cabinet utilized some recycled mahogany to stay with the lighter wood theme in the bathroom. Speaking of the door and repurposing, this was actually our old front door that we repurposed. It turned out just awesome. And again, it was quite interesting looking at the pictures and seeing some of the old pictures compared to the new bathroom that we were thoroughly enjoying. Not only is the new bathroom warmer and easier to maintain, it is also more functional, as there is no step into the shower that will benefit us as we head into our 6th decade of existence. If only Shamrock had a heated floor. He would have enjoyed it. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little expose on what we did last summer and the renovation of our little house. So this renovation ended up being about a 6-month journey. We had planned on 4, but we got a little bit behind on such things as the cabinet making and whatnot. When you look at the costs of it, we undertook this rather large project in very significant times. Significant in that costs were escalating. Time was very valuable in that it was difficult to get a lot of the contractors that we needed. Some of the tips, we started more than a year ahead of time. We purchased our appliances a year ahead of time and entered into agreements with contractors a year ahead of time in order to get things done. If you look at the overall cost of this project, it's not a very good indicator because of the times that we were living in due to supply and labor shortages. The actual cost of the extension itself ended up being over $700 per square foot if you just factor in the addition that we did, not including what we tore off. At the end of the day, the actual addition cost us more than the original house did, which is not that shocking given the post-COVID environment that we are currently living in. I don't know.